Hello, kings and queens. This is Jacqueline here with the Grow program. Thank you for growing with me. I had did an episode once on the highway, and how I love the highway. I'm by the highway, and the highway reminds me of life. How the on ramps, on off ramps, how people get on and off your life, and how you keep on down the journey. And I had a beloved aunt, and I told you about her. She'll drive 70, 80 miles, come see you and stay about 5 minutes. And she loved the highway. And I miss her a lot. And I spent a lot of time with her. And I'm tell you something. African people, I know me in particular. When I get behind the wheel, I feel kind of free and I'm happy, but at the same time, I'm apprehensive because for some reason, I'm always on the lookout just to make sure that I'm, within the where I'm supposed to be within the law. And making sure the law is not around me nowhere, And for some reason, I don't know what it is because, and I've always been like this, except when I was at work. The only time I didn't feel this way was when I was a bus driver, because I had I have a CDL, so I was they don't too much pull us over. They pull over a lot of truck drivers, but not too many bus drivers. Police, please don't start doing it. Anyway, I just that's one thing about African people, because see, we used to get around. Our ancestors got around on the bus, on the train, or by foot. They didn't have cars, for a long time. And then when they finally got cars, they were still harassed by the police. They couldn't drive freely. And I don't know about many of you, how you feel, as you drive, but I feel that way sometimes when I get behind the wheel. I'm looking to see, make sure I'm within the speed limit and everything, but also looking out to see where the police, because he usually ducking and dodging and hiding somewhere. And I don't like how they do that. I wish they wouldn't do that, because it makes people just, it's not, to me, it's not a deterrent, just to know that you hiding in the bushes somewhere. And, because that may scare somebody, all of a sudden, people just need to be aware of their, how they drive and aware of their speed limit. Because see, as I'm driving down the road, me being African, as I'm driving down the road, I'm looking for them, because see, they always harassing us anyway. So I got to not only look out for the road and the highway and the people, other drivers. I have to look out for the police too, because I fit the description, already, and so I got to see, I got to be looking out, and we have to be mindful, people. That's nothing. I'm not trying to say anything bad about the police, but it is what it is. I had somebody who say that to me all the time. You make me so mad. Why you always gotta say that? But it's true. It is what it is. It really is. And I find myself saying it a lot, because it is. That's exactly what it is. What it is. Okay, let's get off that. Anyway, but I want you to know, people, I love you. You are royalty. I found out a lot of stuff about me. That I also, that I like to talk. And this one thing I also find out, when I do, my couple friends, people who do call me, they hear them and talk. See, because I talk, and I talk a sermon to them. I noticed that, and my daughter has said that to me. If she asks me a question, it'll turn into a sermon. And her look on her face, I know what I'm doing. So I got to stop, because she has told me that, Mama, you turn everything into a sermon. And I do. I'm sitting here watching a squirrel going up the tree. I can turn that into a sermon. Because, see, we got to take we got the like the squirrel. He innocent. He just is innocent. But he's so going about his way and so busy in the street running around and trying to catch one behind acorns or whatever he's doing. He just is innocent and ain't mindful that these cars is running back and forth down the road. He's just running back and forth across the road, but the cars come the other direction. He can't even make up his mind which way he want to go. He ain't even paying attention what's coming ahead. And that's a lot of us. See, I take that into it. I take anything of God and turn it into a sermon, honey. And so, when and anything else, turn around to something right. Somebody asked me something, so I try to be mindful of not doing that. When I talk to, especially talking to my baby, she want to ask me a question, simple question, should be yes or no, but I turn something into a preach. And talking to her, and she don't like that. Okay, but it'd be funny. And but with my friends, they like to do all the talking. See, because they want to hear them get their point across. So I won't turn it into a sermon because I can get on one. As you can see, I didn't even realize this about me. And I didn't realize that I'm funny. I didn't know this. My brother was very funny. I thought he was the funny one. Maybe some of him, I know his spirit is with me. And I know also the pure souls, the ancestors are with me. That's why these sermons come out the way they do. That's why I can't go by no script. Talking about assassination of character. It had slipped my mind about Dr. King. And matter of fact, we're going to celebrate it on Monday. But it had slipped my mind that his birthday was Friday. And I come up with that episode because that's the ancestors giving me those episodes. I feel the spirits of people of beloved ancestors, not just slaves and those type of people, but I feel the spirits of famous people also. I do. Like I'm moved by Prince. I'm moved by people. I truly am. And it's because, and I say this, and this is coming from real, because Africans were under oppression in this country. So we are not judged as harshly as others are judged and will be judged. The oppression that we done ourselves, the oppression that Prince done to himself was because of the oppression that was put on about this country under Africans. Drugs, pushing drugs into the community, pushing the crack and the opioids. But it became a problem because some other races got addicted. So now it's a problem. Now we got to go after the big pharma. Now we got to go after Walmart. We got to go after people who put these drugs out in the community now because it's a problem for these other races. Wasn't no problem when the babies was born addicted to crack and all of this, and we had the foster care systems overwhelmed. That's another system that is really, really, really messed up. I mean, it is really messed up because it does everything it can to divide families. I don't care what image they try to portray, because I know for a fact, firsthand, they do everything they can to keep these babies away from these parents. It don't matter if these moms and dads jump through hoops and hurdles, because I watched my daughter do it. These parents jump through hoops and hurdles. Then I turn around and watch the father do it. He jumped through hoops and hurdles, and they still got the baby. Know why? Because the federal government is giving them money, giving the state the money to keep the baby away from the parents. So the parents don't really have the means to fight, the lawyer to fight against the state to get the baby back. It don't even matter. A neglect charge. One neglect charge is what kept my grandbaby away from her parents. One neglect charge. They will not give her back to her father, and have done everything they can to divide That's one thing I'd say about this state. They have done everything they can to divide, to keep those parents. And I'm going to tell it. I got to tell it because it's the truth. So I don't care. They have done everything they can to keep these parents away from their baby. Now, I understand my daughter's situation a little more, but the father's situation, he's trying to get his baby. And, they are, it's just, it is what it is. It's what, it's money. And more, I can. It's a situation where, there are parents who should not be parents, but there are parents who have redeemed themselves, who have done better, who have tried, because I've seen it. I know firsthand. So I'm not talking about something I don't know. And everything that I discuss, I've dealt with it firsthand. I've lived it. I know it. I've overcame it. So I know what I'm talking about. The states are a form of oppression in how they do parents and how they do the child support system, and how they do the justice system. We need to revamp a whole lot of things, a whole lot of areas when it comes to Africans. This is how I'm trying to teach us better how to overcome. We need to work together as parents, sit down and work together in agreement to remove this man out this child support system, or remove this woman out this child support system, because it's a form of oppression. It's a way to just keep us held down. It's more bondage. All they do is sit up and think about ways to hold people down. You held down by child support. You can't even get a job because, they took away your license. How you supposed to get a job with your license gone? And then you got to turn around and pay all this money. See, I'm going to tell you something, women. You going in these relationships looking at what this man got and how you gonna get this, and you finna have a baby and you gonna get him out of child support. But I want you to think about something, and this is serious. You will be judged by your heart and how you do people. I removed my ex-husband from child support. He owed me $20,000, over $20,000. I removed him for that and forgave that. We need to think about what's best for our children and put ourselves aside and think about our heart and think about how God is going to judge us, by our actions. The heart is the design for our actions. It's the architect. So you need to think about what you do before you do. You need to do a heart checkup. Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom all over the world, people. We are rising. We are coming out with substance. God is with us. Our beloved ancestors are with us. The spirits are not resting, as Christianity teaches. Africans are spiritual. God bless you.